Oh, beautiful pearls. How's everyone doing on this very beautiful Thursday? I hope everyone is doing great. I had such an amazing day. It's so bright here in Dubai, like you you just want to go out and walk and think and maybe reflect and meditate. You know, walking meditations, I love those because you could just walk and think and put everything in perspective. And it actually ties so nicely with today's topic because in today's topic, we're going to be talking about the relationship between the body and the mind and, what's the difference between the two. So, I just finished walking and I was having kind of like a walking meditation. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it. Just so you know, we're going to be together today for between 45 and 60 minutes, as usual. And today's topic is definitely one that is very uh, intriguing to say the least, because there's always this wondering and those big question marks around the relationship between our mind and our body and who is basically in control. So that's the topic we're going to be talking about today. But I want you to stick with me till the end because at the end I have an invitation for you. So without further ado, just so you know, today's topic, because it's for me it's a very very important one because it's at the core of what I do. It's really really so related to the work that I do and the program that I have that it's very important for me, and it's something that always amazes me, to understand this combination between our body and our mind, basically. So today I'm going to be focusing on this, on the difference between the two, on basically who is leading the show, and we're going to be talking also on when should we really listen to our body and when can we ignore our body, or if our body is giving us any specific messages, like when can we ignore and when should we really 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 listen, you know now, since ever I remember I was always interested in this topic, but when I started realizing that our body has got a lot to do with everything that we do on daily basis, everything that we think of, everything that we want to do, everything that we have been doing. I kind of like wanted to dig deeper, and since ever I was always interested in I remember at school I was very very intrigued by psychology, and I was always like the first one on the first table sitting there and listening to the teacher and understanding what the teacher is saying and trying to figure out how this beautiful mind of ours works. And because of that, I think I came to eventually this realization that this is really what I want to focus on, this is really what I want to work on, this is really where I can help people understand what lies beneath, not just what's out there and what shows to the world, what is behind really everything that we do on daily basis. Who's the boss, who's doing those what do you call them, a call, who's making the call, who's giving the orders, or it's very intriguing. And when you start digging into this, becomes more and more intriguing. Yeah. So let me tell you a story before I move forward with this. I remember when I was a kid, I was always fascinated by bikes. They always like kind of made me think, oh, this is so exciting. It's something like that's always fascinated me. However, I'm not talking about speed bikes because I personally don't like speed at all, and I really dislike speed bikes per se because I don't like speed. I find it a bit dangerous. So, but that's just me. There are lots of people who love it. They go on the track and they ride and it's amazing. They just love it. Personally, I'm more of the cruising girl, you know, the girl that goes on a bike that looks so nice. And I just love cruising, and it keeps my mind off of things. Now, the trend, not the trend actually, the misconception is usually that, you know, a woman riding a bike, especially in our part of the world, in this region, it's a little bit, you know, not I don't want to say frowned upon, but it's a little bit, people judge, you know. They would say like, oh my god, how can she ride a bike, how can she hold a bike, it's too heavy for her, she's, you know, she will look like a man. They will come up with all sorts of things to say about us, you know, when we are on the bike. I find it very beautiful and like very attractive, to be quite honest. But that's not the thing. The thing is, because of all the things that we hear around us, and because of all the myths that are around this community, or even the bike itself, you know, women become a little bit kind of scared. And not only women, even men. It becomes something a bit of a, how do you say it, a challenge, you know, for someone to get on the bike and start riding. Now, what happened with me is, I remember when I first started contemplating becoming a biker, I remember I wasn't very fit, okay? And I remember that in my brain, all I wanted to do is I wanted to go and get this license, and everything I was hearing or listening to, or the people around me were like, yeah, but you know, you're not fit. How are you going to be able to do it? And it's not going to be possible for you. And, you know, I took it too hard. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna do it. And I made up a decision in my mind that I'm gonna do it. Now, the funny thing is that I didn't really do much more than just taking that decision. And what I've noticed after a while is that on my own, I kind of felt like, yeah, let's go to the gym. And it was really not related to that. I just felt like I wanted to be fit. And eventually I became quite fit right before I started getting my courses to get the license for the bike. Yeah, so I figured, okay, that's amazing. Now I think I'm good, and I'm gonna do this. And another thing happened, which is very funny. I started buying everything related to the biking, except the bike, obviously, and I didn't even have the license. And I was doing this without really putting any thought to the process. It's not like I would be sitting there, I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna be buying this. Now I'm gonna be buying this. Now I'm gonna be doing this. Now I'm gonna be doing this. And all of it is related to this hobby of mine. They were kind of just coming to me, those ideas, just, you know, okay, yeah, let's do this today. Or let's go to the gym and get fit today, and let's do that tomorrow. And, you know, but there was nothing really properly planned. Now you would think, why am I telling you this? The reason why I'm saying this, or the reason why I'm telling you this, is because I didn't really put my mind and said to myself, you know what, okay, this is a paper, that's a pen, we're gonna like, okay, tomorrow, that's what we're gonna do. The day after tomorrow, that's what we're gonna do. And I did not really have a plan for me to become a biker. I just thought to myself one day that, oh my God, this is something I would really love to do. And I kind of forgotten about the idea. It wasn't like something that was always in my mind. But it was. Only not in my aware mind, not in the part of my mind that is my conscious mind, you know? Which brings me to the first topic that we're going to be talking about today. So when I decided, like when I took this decision in my mind and I said to myself, I want to become a biker, and then I totally forgot about it, what happened is that my body took that message and became kind of the messenger. My body became that entity that was so focused on getting me there. you know? So I was having that thought, and then I completely, totally let go of it, which is actually one way of manifesting, in case you didn't know. So I'm just giving you like a tip. So when you want to manifest, usually you don't keep on like thinking of the thing, and you just like, you know, and then it becomes something that is coming really out of a need and lack. You just think about it, and then you kind of totally forget about it, and then the universe will bring it to you because you really want it. And I think this is what happened with me and the bike, you know, and the whole biking hobby per se. But basically what happened is my body took that command and made it its mission to get me there, you know? So that's the most important thing that we want to remember that happens between these two big portions. Like, the only portions of our brain or our mind are the subconscious mind, which is our body, and our consciousness, which is basically the logic, and our analytical mind, and that mind that makes the decisions, and that mind that's always thinking, always analyzing, always wanting to have answers, versus our body, who is basically running just like that on autopilot, right? Now, the beautiful thing about our brain and our mind, imagine that we actually, as human beings, have to think of everything that we do throughout our day, or throughout our life, or throughout, like, right now, this very second. Imagine that I'm talking to you now, and at the same time I have to think about what I'm saying. I have to think about where I'm looking. I have to think about how I'm using my voice. I have to think about, and look, thinking, I mean, right? So it's something that's happening really, like, and I have to think about my gestures. I have to think about whether I'm thirsty or not. I have to think about whether I'm hungry or not. I have to think about, am I breathing right? Am I breathing at all? I have to think about how am I moving. I have to think about taking my next breath. I have to think about looking. I have to think about listening. I have to think about breathing. I have to think about, I mean, already, can you imagine that I have to be doing all of this consciously? Think about it. Think about it. And this is why our subconscious mind, or our body, basically, well, our subconscious mind embodied in our body, makes up 95% of our whole mind. Why? Because there is no way our conscious mind would be able to do all of this all the time, constantly, non-stop, consistently, in the same way, in the same pattern, every single, not second, not even second, every single nanosecond. Can you imagine that this is the job of your consciousness while you are aware? How would that feel? How would that even look like? You know, imagine that when you are breathing, you actually have to do it consciously all the time. Now, when we do breath exercise, of course we have to do it consciously, because that's the whole point of us doing the breathing exercises consciously, so that we can calm ourselves, so that we can go into the meditation mood, or go into the meditation state, or go into any specific brainwave that we need to reach when we are doing any kind of meditation. But if we are to think of our breathing every single nanosecond of the day, we won't be doing anything else. you know? If we are to think of how our digestive system needs to digest the food that we are eating all the time so consciously, there's no way we can think of anything else. We won't be able to even think of breathing. So that's how much difference there is between our conscious mind and our subconscious mind. And when I say our subconscious mind, it's really everything that the body does. Everything that the body does on an autopilot process, on a like plug and play process, you know? Like when we are born, I truly I kind of believe that it looks like this, you know, like a plug and play. Okay, now we are here and now we're going to be playing. And the play is like we just got plugged into this planet, and now the body needs to play that life of ours. And then when the mind starts developing and when the mind becomes aware, this is where we become more of decision makers in very specific places, not in all the places. So for me, when I took that decision to become a biker, I just said to myself, I'm gonna become a biker. And my body was like, okay, now we're gonna get fit. Now we're gonna do, you know, all the muscles that are required. Now that we're gonna do even the brain setup, you know, for yourself, the brain setup that you need to be on a bike, the balance that you need, and the balance it comes from your mind even before your body. So my body took control as soon as I gave the order, or as soon as and by order I mean as soon as I took that decision that I wanted to become a biker. And this is why I was sharing this story. This is why I shared the story today of me becoming a biker, because it was just, you know, a hope or something that I really wanted to do. And I think the other thing is, because I was so excited about it, even my body realized that, you know what, she's excited about it. Let's give it to her. Let's give her this exciting experience and let's help her. Without me, like I said, sitting and you know, doing the plan and telling my body, okay, now you're gonna have to be fit because now I want to be able to get on the bike and become a biker, you know. This is how smart our body is. The other thing that we want to remember is, because of so many thoughts we have every day, I don't know if you know, but we have between like 60,000 to 70,000 thoughts per day. Obviously, we are not aware of all those thoughts, because if we were aware of all those thoughts, there's nothing else to do during our day except, you know, being aware of those thoughts. So again, there's this kind of filter that happens so that we can really savor on the important thoughts that we want to savor on, or that are going to make a huge difference for us in our lives. And the others are the thoughts that are related to our being, to our existence, literally, you know? Like, I don't even think about breathing, but it is a thought. When I wake up in the morning and I go take my shower, I don't really think that, you know, now I'm gonna have to go. It becomes something like innate. Well, it's not innate, it's acquired, obviously, because you are teaching yourself these things. But you teach yourself how many times? You do it once, twice, you repeat, obviously, so that your body can remember. But then you stop thinking about it. There are other thoughts that will come to your mind later on. But that thought of you waking up in the morning, going to your, you know, in front of the mirror, brushing your teeth, fixing your, I don't know, washing your face, taking a shower, changing your clothes, deciding what you want to wear, like all of these things, making your coffee, preparing your lunch, taking your lunch with you, go inside the car and drive. Like, can you imagine being behind the wheel and really having to think of everything that you want to do while you are driving? Like how you want to shift the gear, how you want to move the wheel. Like, it's it's impossible to be thinking of all these things if you didn't have your body doing that for you. If our body was not really in control, there's no way we can lead a normal, proper life. And this is how important our body is. Because once we teach our body, and again, the initiation starts from from the conscious mind. The initiation starts from our awareness. This is where I initiate the thought, just like me deciding that I wanted to become a biker. And then, depending on the kind of feeling that I'm having in relation to those thoughts, my body would take on the rest of the journey. And obviously we're going to go through a process of repetition so that we can teach our body everything that needs to be taught. So the third thing that I want to mention about the connection or the difference between our mind, our conscious mind, and our subconscious mind. You know, we always, especially women, we always say that we are the best multitaskers out there. Like, we can multitask. Can we really? That's the question. Who is multitasking? I would think, like, if you really wanna think about it and be rightful in your thinking, right? Let's say I'm sitting now and I'm having I need to plan my vacation, right? If I wanna plan my vacation, I cannot think of 100 thoughts at the same time. I will only be able to do one thought at a time, consciously, right? So my mind is going to have to be really focused so that I can do a proper planning. But who is multitasking in this case? My body is multitasking, because my body is breathing, because my body is digesting the food that I have been eating, because my body is releasing all, like, I don't know, any toxins that I have in my system because of something maybe that I ate or something that I drank. My body is doing all of this at the same time when I am sitting there totally focused on one thought at a time. Only my body can do so many things at the same time. If I want to be totally aware, I can only be aware about one thought at a time. Even though people think that women multitask, in fact, everybody multitasks. Just seamlessly or seemingly, because we don't know, we don't see it, we take it for granted, because to us this is how we are built. I really don't think like ordinary people would sit and ask themselves, how come my body is how come my heart is beating, how come, I don't know, my stomach is processing the food that I ate this morning. We don't sit and ask ourselves these questions. We just, we take it for granted. We live with it because it's there. And this is the power of our body. And this body is led by the subconscious mind. Everything that we have learned as kids using our consciousness, and with repetition, it became something sitting in our subconscious mind, and it's just on autopilot. It's running. It doesn't need our support at all. It's running with or without our consciousness. Because, for example, when we're sleeping, obviously we're not conscious, right? When we're sleeping, we're just in a let's put it in a trance place, to say the least, right? But our body is still on autopilot. It's still working. So imagine that our body or our subconscious mind does not have all this power. What would be of us? What would happen of us as humans, as human beings? Now this is one side of the story. When we want to think about who is leading the show, is it our consciousness or our awareness, or is it our body? This is a very, very interesting idea. Like, if I want to think that my body is leading the show, and if I want to give full authority to my body, what would happen? Let's just contemplate. I would be living just for the sake of living, with, zero purpose, nothing. Because there's no real thinking, there's no observation, there's no planning, there's no decision making, there's no digging, there's no, focus. I would be just going with the flow of how my body wants to move around. That's if I give full authority to my body and I kind of get out of having an awareness at all. Think about it as, God forbid, anyone here, or let's cancel the thought of anyone listening or anyone watching this, that we have a brain death. When we go into a coma, not we, cancel that, anyone. So imagine that being a life that we all lead. So as much as the body and the subconscious mind is powerful, we really, really want to have that awareness. Because without that awareness, our life will probably be meaningless. That awareness is what gives a sense to our life, is what gives a texture to our life. It is what gives a meaning to our life. If we are living our lives without awareness, there's really no meaning to the life that we live if we are not aware. Think about it. Just like the person who is in a coma, they're clueless. They don't know anything, although their body is working, right? But with their brain, their awareness is not there, which means that their life is not there per se as a life, as the life that we came here to experience. So this is how important also our awareness is. Now, because we cannot separate them, sometimes it's the brain leading and sometimes it's the body leading. It really depends. But initially, think about it this way. For me, when I came to this world, right, there must have been a thought that came into my mind as a person, as a human being, that now I should breathe, that now my heart should beat, that now my spinal cord should get connected to all my nerves, that now I should be walking. So it all starts as an initiation in our awareness. But then what happens is, with repetition, everything that we do, everything that we initiate in our mind, and everything is initiated in our consciousness, the more we do it, then it becomes something that is just kind of a habit. It's an acquired process that we become so familiar with that it becomes our like our ordinary familiarity. And this is how we live. This is how we, let's say, drive the car. This is how we wash our face in the morning. We don't really question any of the things that we do. We don't question the moves that we do when we want to go into the shower, you know. We don't really question whether should we shower with our clothes on or off. We don't really ask those questions anymore, because initially, at the very beginning, there was this question. There was this initiation that started in a completely, fully aware state. To our mind, not necessarily something that we would see. You might ask me, like, for example, how do you know that I took the decision to breathe? I'll tell you how. When we are born, the first thing that we do as human beings is we cry, right? And why do we cry? We cry because because the feeling that we are having outside when the air comes into our lungs is something that we are not used to, and it takes us split seconds to understand what's happening, and then that momentum kicks up. But we needed to understand what was happening, and we needed to understand consciously for our brain, maybe not for us as kids, as babies. We don't understand like per se, but like what you and I understand now, like literally when we are trying to figure things out. But this is how powerful that connection is between our awareness and our subconscious mind. And this is how quick, not just powerful, it's like a split second that it takes for the mind to be aware of something, to give that first time order, I call it, to the body, who takes it on and just lives with it for the rest of its conscious life. Although it's the subconscious mind and it is our body. So after that order, what happens is that our body or our subconscious mind starts repeating this process over and over again. Sometimes we do it consciously if we are doing something brand new, but if we're talking about, you know, how our body reacts or how our body moves, and we most of the time do it subconsciously, right? But for example, if someone is learning how to ride a bike, you know, usually people give the example of driving a car. I'm going to give the example of riding a bike. So when you want to start riding a bike, there are things that you have to be totally aware of before they can become part of your day-to-day riding process for the bike. Just like when you are driving a car. So the first time you get on the bike, you understanding how to make that balance and all of this, you have to be totally aware. Because your body still does not know what to expect. Your body is still in the unknown until your body becomes conscious in a subconscious way. Does that make sense? You become subconsciously conscious, and this is the highest level of, I would say, the highest level of consciousness. Because if our body was not really subconsciously conscious that she, in my case, has to breathe, she has to walk, she has to speak, she has to her heart has to beat, her lungs have to pump take in and inhale and exhale the air so that she can keep on reviving those cells, you know, in the blood. So if this is not happening subconsciously, by starting in a conscious way, it won't be possible for us to like consciously be thinking of all of these things all the time. So that's how important it is to understand who is leading. The initiation starts in our conscious mind or in our awareness when we take the decision, you know, like, but initially we're not aware. Initially we are like in la la land, right? And then we become aware that we are not aware. So when we become aware that we are not aware, we decide to become aware. It's simple. Like me, when I initially, biking meant nothing to me, and then I realized like, oh my god, I really love biking. So that's me becoming aware that I have this emotion or this feeling towards this hobby. And then I decided, okay, I love it, I'm aware of it, but I have zero clue of how it goes or how it works. So I put my mind to the test and I said, you know what, okay, I'm gonna learn. My body is going to learn. That's when I became consciously conscious. So now I am aware and I am doing the thing that I need to be doing in order to become a biker. So I'm conscious and I'm consciously doing it, right? And now, after 12 years, well, it didn't take me 12 years, but I've been riding for 12 years. Now I do it subconsciously. I am I'm in my subconscious, but I am conscious. Like my subconscious is consciousness itself. Does it make sense? Like I am subconscious when I go on the bike. I don't really think about it. But because my body is so conscious, it's so aware of what needs to be done, I don't need to be going in there and giving orders all the time to my body now that I am subconsciously conscious. Does it make sense? By the way, these are the 4 ways of our learning techniques. This is how the learning path is when like you're not aware, you're completely in a place where you know zero. And then when you are aware that you know zero, and then when you become like, okay, now I want to learn what I became aware of, my absence of knowledge. Now I want to bring that knowledge. And then when you bring that knowledge and you keep on repeating, because repetition is very, very important. Repetition is the main way for us to move from being consciously aware to consciously unaware. So when our body is subconsciously aware, actually, right? It's a little bit like the terms may be weird, but the logic, if we ask our 5% of our, analytical mind, the logic is there. It makes total sense. So this is who is leading initially. We start with our analytical mind or our consciousness, and then with repetition our body takes over, our subconsciousness takes over, and the major things that we go through our lives, they run literally on autopilot. Our body is leading that show. Which brings us to the 3rd point that I want to talk about today. When is it that we keep that autopilot going, And when is it that we actually have to ask that autopilot to give us a little bit of room to, maneuver or handle or be the decision maker? I personally, ideally, I would want that control to be with my subconscious mind, to be with my body all the time, because if I'm gonna have to be aware of everything that my body is doing, it's gonna be very difficult, because I will have zero time because of the capacity of the conscious mind. Not because I don't have time, it's because of literally the capacity of the consciousness that we have. And the subconscious mind is not created just to be there. It's a piece of art. If it wasn't there, our life would be completely different. Our life, we would have to be managing every nanosecond, like I said at the beginning, of every single day of our life. And that is impossible to do if we are to do it from our consciousness, from our awareness, from our analytical mind. And our analytical mind is like, it sits here and it's a very small piece in our brain and in the rest of our body, right? So I would say I prefer that those programs that are on autopilot in my subconsciousness, that they would stay there on autopilot. I don't want to be responsible for those programs. Now, there are other programs that I would love to be responsible for, because they will give me space for things that I want to do for myself in my life. Let me explain. So, what happens is when we go through life and when we become conditioned, because we all become conditioned by everything around us, by our environment, by the people that we know, by the experiences that we go through, by the genes that we have, by whatever we inherit from our parents, from our ancestors, and also from our different lifetimes or timelines, if you want. So all of this is part of our subconscious. It's sitting there somewhere. It's hiding there somewhere. And the one time where I really want my consciousness to be able to control and teach my subconscious mind is when I really want things to happen for me in my life. Although I personally truly believe that everything happens for us, nothing happens to us, everything that we go through in our life, in my own opinion, is an experience that we bring to ourselves so that we can learn from. So everything, in other words, happens for us so that we can learn, so that we can move from where we are today to a better place tomorrow, ideally. And if we always let our subconscious mind leading the show, because of all the conditioning that we have been through, and because of all the experiences that we go through from the minute we are born and even before until now I'm talking to you, if I don't take the lead when I want to have things happen for me, I would be probably living all my life just being that sponge, taking over all those limitations that are imposed on me by my surrounding, the judgments that I carry from people, the resentments that I collect when I have issues with when I put myself as in an experience where I want to learn, and I judge and I resent and I love and I hate and I am sad and I'm unhappy and I'm happy and I'm joyous, and all of this I always have zero control on my subconscious mind. When I go through hardships, these hardships will also be in control. So we want to make sure that we don't always give that beautiful, amazing body of ours that is keeping us alive, actually, you know? But we shouldn't be always giving the lead to our body. And this is what happens when we start working on ourselves. This is the major, for me at least, it was the major aha moment. Like, oh my God, now I understand. And now I understand why I was holding, like, I don't know, I felt like my heart was always closed up. My heart was always feeling sorrow because I was holding on so much until I became aware. And then when I became aware that I was holding a lot of resentments in my heart, a lot of, I don't want to say hatred, because I really don't believe in hate, but resentment, yes, to people who I have come across in my life, who I brought into my life, so I can learn from them. When they left, I did my learnings, I took my learnings, I took everything that I needed to take from those situations that I put myself in, and I let go of the people. I just didn't let go of the resentment for a while. And my body was stacking that feeling, like, and it was like other things were coming on top, and then more, and then more, and then more, until it became unbearable. Not just, excuse me, and not just that, it became unbearable, and it was a major block for me moving forward in my life. And this is why it's very important to understand where we should interfere with our body and where we can just let it live its life and go with the flow. You know, big diseases do not just show up like that. Big diseases show up as an accumulation of years and years of our body handling things without our awareness, until the time comes when it's not able to handle it anymore. And the only way for our body to talk to us is to give us something to think about, to give us something to wake us up, to, like, you know, nudge us, but not just like a normal nudge, like a shake, when we don't listen ever. So it's very important, in fact, to listen to your body and know what your body is telling you. Your body is very smart. Your body is going to tell you when she is tired. She's gonna tell you. I'm talking about my body, obviously. If you're a man, when he's tired, he's gonna tell you. When there's something wrong, your body is always gonna tell you. When there's something fishy, when there's something that's not going right, even if it's just a very small, tiny thing, your body will tell you. So it's very, very important to listen to your body. And if you ignore, this is what happens. When you ignore, the more you ignore, the worse the situation becomes. Sometimes it can be it can manifest in your body if we're not listening, you know, especially especially these days when we are subject to so much going on around us. Sometimes it's not something that we can really control, you know, when there's like an economic situation around the world, when people are unable to have food on the table because of the downfall of the economy. It's not really something that they can control, but what they can control is how they deal with it. I know people might think, Maysoon, yeah, I know. It's easier said than done. But I have to tell you, it's not the case. This is what people want to believe, that it's easier said than done. If you actually decide consciously that it is very easy to be done, it's going to be very easy to be done. The only problem is people think that if they say it or they think about it one time and nothing happens, it means that it's like, nothing's gonna ever happen. But just like you learned how, or just like I learned how to ride the bike, and just how it took me time to repeat things over and over and over again to become that biker, the same thing applies to when you want to experience something else, or when you want to remove yourself from something that is negative or something that is not to your liking. You cannot say, I prefer to be healthy now, and then expect that, the next day nothing is there. Because your body doesn't believe you, even if you say it, because you have taught your body for so long to be sick. You have taught your body for so long to be tired. And if you tell your body now with one thought, once, that it's okay and she's fine, she won't believe you because she's got so much on her plate. She sees it. Your body knows there's a lot. What are you talking about telling me, your body, that tomorrow I'm gonna be fine, or today I am fine? If you say it only once, it's not gonna believe you. However, the same way you learned how to take your shower, the same way you learned how to walk. I mean, we didn't just, come here and started walking the minute we stood up, It took us time to walk. So the same way we learned how to walk, we gotta teach our body by repetition how to feel better, that our body is okay, that we are good. So if I do it once, it's not gonna work. I have to repeat and repeat and repeat. And repetition is the mother of all skills. The more you repeat, the more real it becomes. Now you may tell me, yeah, but I am in this situation and there's nothing that I can do that will fix it. First of all, get out of those thoughts. Get out of the thought that you cannot do anything, that you are not able, that you're unable to do stuff. Because you're the most able person ever. You and me and every single person, we are the creators. Yes, our subconscious mind takes everything that we teach it and runs it on autopilot, but we initiate, we create, and then it's the job of the subconscious mind and of our body to take over and run with the show. But we are the producer of that show, we are the director of that show, we are the script writers, not our body. Our body will just do what we initially tell it to do. And the more we repeat, the more it will learn, and the faster it will learn. So instead of thinking negatively and putting our body in an even worse situation, we want to be in a place where we can teach our body again, because we already taught our body from the beginning. Whatever manifests in your body, my body, doesn't manifest just like that. We've been teaching this to our body for a while now, that now it's manifesting. And the same way that happened we want to do the positive teaching. Why is it that we always want to teach the negatives? We don't do it consciously, by the way. It's not like I set my mind, okay, now I'm going to tell my body that it's going to be, unhealthy. I'm going to tell my body that nothing's going to work. No, we don't do it. It's our emotions, people. It's our emotions. Our body is our body is the sponge of the emotions. Our body understands emotions. And when we talk, our body does not understand really the things that we say. Our body understands what emotions come, what are the emotions that are coming with what we are thinking or what we are saying. So today, if I say I am happy, obviously the feeling is happiness, and my body will understand that. And when I say I'm not happy or I don't want to be sad, I don't want to be sad. When I say I don't want to be sad, the emotion that I'm getting is actually sadness. It's not happiness, because I'm talking about sadness. So that's what my body will understand. That's what my subconscious mind, and this is how important it is for you to be aware of the things that you are saying. That's why, my dear pearls, it's very, very important that we listen to our body. And yes, there are things that we can let go, and there are things that we have to keep our body in control of, just like I was saying, the breathing, the, everything that we do subconsciously. But the things that are causing us to be in a place where we are sad, where we are depressed, where we are stressed, where we are unhappy, where we are always questioning, these are the things where we want our mind to come into play and tell our body that, hey, that's not how it should be. Let's fix this. And we fix it by becoming, first of all, aware that it exists, and then by exercising, and exercising, I mean mentally, I mean everything that we do becomes an exercise from that moment. Everything that we do becomes a repetition from that moment, so that we become in control again, so that we can push whatever negativity is trying to hide inside our precious, precious, precious body. This is our vessel, and we want to be able to take care of it. And to do that, we want to be aware. We want to be aware of the things that we let in. And when I say things, I'm not talking only about food, and I'm not talking only about physical stuff. I'm talking about the thoughts. I'm talking about the words. I'm talking about the emotions that we let in. I'm talking about the vibrations. I'm talking about the energies, even of the people who are around us. So we want to be aware of those things. I can talk about this subject. If you let me talk about it for hours, I wouldn't stop. But today, this is what I wanted to focus on. I wanted to make sure that at least I give you my perspective of the difference between our conscious mind and our subconscious mind, and who is leading in reality. Is it our conscious mind or our subconscious mind? And when it is important to listen to our subconscious mind. And every time I say our subconscious mind, I am definitely talking about the body. And that's it for me today. But before we go, if you are in a place where you are really having issues, where you are really stuck, where you are really going into that stress mode, and where you are thinking that I need to get a grip of my life, and you think that maybe, just maybe, Maysoon can help me, Maysoon can support me one way or another. She seems to know a little bit, like a couple of things about life, and how life works. And she's got some tools that I can use. So if you are in that place and you think I can in any way, shape, or form help you out, especially with my program being out now, and now you know what my program is all about. And if you don't, just go back to the replay of last week and you will have more details about the program. And if you don't, also you can ask me the questions. I'm on Messenger. You can just reach out to me and ask me all the questions that you want. But my invitation for you today is, if you feel like there's something that I can help you with, if you feel like there's any support that I can give you in any way, shape, or form, please, I will share a link with this live today. And that link is a link for a free call that you can jump on this call with me. We can talk. I can understand from you where you are right now at your life, what's happening, and I can give you some tools that will help you instantly in your life. And then also we'll talk together about everything that you are going through. And if I feel like there's really a lot that I can help you with, and if I feel that working with you will help you and will support you and will take you from where you are today to where you really want to be, I will show you, I will explain to you how working with me looks like. And we're going to do all that on the call. So if this is what you want, if this is what you feel can help you, just, the link is going to be in the comments. I will add it to the comments of this video. And you can always tag I am ready. Yeah, just write I am ready, and I will reach out to you on Messenger and we can have a discussion. We can start it there and then we can jump on the call. And with that, I will say to you, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for going through this. And if you've missed it, the replay is coming your way anytime you want. Just send me also a replay. I can share it with you. Remember, if you want us to talk, just type I am ready in the comments and I will reach out to you. And when I reach out to you, by the way, I will send you a message here, and always keep an eye on your messenger, because sometimes when I talk to you, your messenger will send the messages to that folder of people who are not among your friend list. So check that folder as well, and maybe you have a message from me already in that folder. And with that, I'm gonna say ciao ciao, and I will see you again next week. Ciao ciao.